speech. Kung manit speech butang gida, may we request to Mick Pitilia to award a plaque of appreciation to our
of the guest of honor, Lieutenant General Andres C. Centino, PA, Commanding General, Philippine Army.
Pag medyo magkakit.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Lieutenant General Andres C. Centino, PA, Commanding General, Philippine Army. We shall now start today's commemorative event with the flag-raising ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Philippine National Anthem.
Tanghal! Ta! Baba kamay. Baba! Ta!
We shall now raise the flags of the countries herein represented. The emblem of Australia,
Tanghal! Ta! Baba! Ta!
the emblem of Canada,
Tanghal! Ta!
The emblem of Japan.
Tanghal. Ta! No. Baba. Ta!
The emblem of New Zealand.
Tanghal. Ta! Unan, okay kamay. Baba. Ta!
The emblem of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Tanghal. Ta! Unan. Baba. Ta!
And the emblem of the United States of America.
Tanghal. Ta! Unan, okay kamay.
We shall now proceed to the wreath-laying ceremony to honor the memory of our comrades who fought on this very shore. May I request our guest of honor, the veterans, and representatives of the Diplomatic Corps to proceed to the shrine area and find your respective foot markers.
Tanghal! Ta! Baba! Ta! Hot!
The wreaths that shall be offered are for the Veterans Federation of the Philippines, Regional President Veteran Jose T. Hakla, and for the Sons and Daughters Association Incorporated, Brigadier General Joel Joseph Cabides, the Regional President, and the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, Ms. Nenita Brazil, Head of Office. For the people of the province of Leyte, Governor Leopoldo Dominico L. Petilla, and for the people of the municipality of Palo, Mayor Francis Ann Petilla. For the people of Australia and Canada.
Rap sa likod. Rap.
For the people of Japan and New Zealand.
Dapat bulaklak.
For the people of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the United States of America.
Rap sa likod. Rap. Pasulong.
and for and in behalf of the Filipino people, Lieutenant General Andres C. Santino, PA, Commanding General, Philippine Army, accompanied by Brigadier General Wilbur C. Mamawag, Acting Commander, 8th Infantry Division, PA, as military host. May I request our distinguished guests to proceed to the shrine proper for the traditional photo opportunities. Thank you. Very good. Tama. Okay na lang. May I request... May I request everyone to proceed to the Australian marker for the viewing of the Australian cenotaph. Our guests are now on their way to the Australian marker to view the Australian cenotaph. At this point, may I request all our distinguished guests to proceed now to the stage for the commemorative program. Relax lang. People of Leyte, people of the entire Visayas, and people of the Philippines, welcome to the 76th commemorative program of the Leyte Gulf Landings, also known as Leyte Liberation Day. Today we are gathered once again in the National Shrine of Remembrance, the MacArthur Landing Memorial National Park, on the shores of Red Beach, Palo Leyte, as we pay tribute to the men and women who participated in the historic landings 77 years ago that paved the way to the liberation of our country in World War II. The activities today will leave an indelible mark in our minds and in our hearts, as this will be the first time in memory that we are going to do so in a blended, real and virtual manner, in answer to our government's call to observe the health and safety protocols in such gatherings amid the coronavirus pandemic. Notwithstanding this limitation imposed on us by the so-called new normal, what is paramount importance is that we are able to fulfill our promise to our 59 surviving veterans of World War II to annually remember this day and not to forget their singular heroism and sacrifices they made, so that we shall live in peace and prosperity in a free new world. And so, ladies and gentlemen, join us in this commemorative program on the occasion of the 77th Leyte Golf Landings anniversary. Please rise for the invocation to be led by Reverend Monsignor Ramon B. Aguilos, co-pastor, Our Lady of Fatima Parish, Tacloban City.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Our Heavenly Father, we commemorate the Leyte landings of liberation forces that took place 77 years ago. This celebration carries with it a conscience bought with the blood of countless men and women who fought and died for our country. In this commemoration, we pray that you give us the sense of conscience, one that demands a course of national resolve, and one that ultimately brings you the glory you deserve. We honor both the Filipino and American war veterans and the Allied forces of World War II for their heroism and gallantry. They gave their lives in the cause of freedom and have protected and inspired all Filipinos, as well as freedom and peace-loving citizens of the world. For the paltry number of war veterans still living, but are now in the evening of their lives, we commit them to your care, their last years on earth. Do not let them spoil the ideals of truth, liberty, and justice they achieved for you, as well as the path of duty, consecration, and sacrifice they trod. We are grateful for our beloved neighboring country, Japan, which after the war realized war's destructive violence and as a nation chose to light the way to peace. Her noble efforts for honest dialogue, exercise of diplomacy, solidarity, and reconciliation with the Philippine nation all these years have deeply moved us, even as they taught us Filipinos that no challenge is beyond reach, no darkness so deep for illumination, no wound so grievous as to be beyond healing. We pray for every elected and appointed official who serves under this sublime office. Give these leaders of ours the wisdom and the courage to uphold our Constitution. May they cast down every law, policy, and personal example which weakens marriages, families, or your moral standards, much less one that destroys our dignity as persons and as human beings. At this time of the pandemic, may we foster respect and solidarity with others, especially those who are weak or poor. May we remain calm and ignore unsubstantiated rumors. May we take advantage of living together as a family attend to moments of prayer, and cultivate responsibility, patience, and hope. We pray that each of us will understand and follow the values of the gospel. May we realize that ultimate authority comes from you, our sovereign Lord, not our leaders, and that one day we will all stand before you to give an account of personal stewardship as citizens of this Filipino nation. On this day, we humble ourselves, pray and seek your face, and turn from our wicked ways. May you forgive our sins and heal our land. We ask this invoking Mary, our Mother, the Queen of Peace, and in the name of Jesus, your Son, our Lord, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
All please be seated. May I call on Honorable Frances Ann B. Petilia, Mayor of the Municipality of Palo, for her words of welcome.
Maupay nga aga haaton nga tanan. To our President, His Excellency Rodrigo Roa Duterte, to the Governor of the Province of Leyte, Leopoldo Dominico Mick Petilia, Vice Governor Carlo Loreto, the Commanding General of the Philippine Army, Lieutenant General Andres C. Centino, Monsignor Ramon Aguilos, Veterans Federation of the Philippines, represented by retired Colonel Cesar P. Pobre, retired Brigadier General Joseph Sevilla, and to the sons and daughters of our beloved Filipino veteran soldiers, to their excellencies, our ambassadors who's watching us today, guests, your presence is highly valued here today. I am very thankful for all of you who took the time out of your busy schedules to take part in this event. We are gathered here today as we commemorate and recognize the fearless and courageous leadership of General Douglas MacArthur, the bravery and heroism of our veteran soldiers, and thousands of brave but nameless men and women of different nationalities who have fought in defense for freedom. They all took the front line and initiated the tremendous task of liberating the Philippine Islands 77 years ago. And the least that we can do is to remember them today. Celebrating the Leyte Gulf landings is a very vital event, not solely for the province of the Leyte and the country, but also for the entire world, as this is one of the most crucial turning points of the World War II. As we all know, the Battle of Leyte Gulf is known as the largest naval battle recorded in history. The World War II was taught to us that the success of coalitions and alliances is through the spirit of cooperation and camaraderie. These characteristics are still present today through the very close relationship that we share with our allies, that is likewise represented in this commemorative service. Yesterday, here in my town, Palo, we have commemorated the reunion for peace of the four countries, Australia, Japan, USA, and the Philippines, in front of the historical Peace Monument, a relic made of marble, and the words cast on stone symbolize a promise that will last for a long time. In today's ceremony, I would like to take the opportunity of reaffirming the stories of the Leyte Gulf landings and the Philippine liberation. Let us give our warm salutations to all of those who made an ultimate sacrifice and gave up their lives at this red beach 77 years ago. To remember the brave, mourn the dead, and pay tribute to the act of selflessness, commitment, and valor of the ones who fought and continued to fight until the end of the war, that serves as an undying example for all of us on how much we have achieved our cherished freedom through our solid alliances. Thank you again, and have a pleasant morning to all.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we proceed, let me just make a slight correction. We now have 49 living World War II veterans as of October 18, 2021, instead of 59. Okay. Now, during the 60th Leyte Gulf Landings anniversary in 2004, the Veterans Federation of the Philippines and the Sons and Daughters Association Incorporated, composed of the children of World War II veterans, came to an agreement to pass on to the younger generations the memory of the events of World War II and the sacrifices of the Filipino and Allied soldiers who fought in that great war, if only to keep alive the flame of fervor for freedom and peace. As many as these brave men are fast fading away, let this symbolic turnover of the flame of peace for posterity be the burden of the younger generations to work for eternal peace in this, our beloved land, and the rest of the world. To usher in this significantly dramatic undertaking, let us welcome the Samliao Performing Arts and Mr. Carlo Martin Igot as they give tribute to our veterans through the rendition of Dakilang Lahi.
Dakilang lahi nga sa iyong tangi, pag-ibig kong walang hanggan. Isinumpa mo, o Pilipino, gagaling ang sugat ng iyong nakaraan. Nang pahiran ko luha ng puso mo, ay natayo muli ang karangalan mo, o ang pag-ibig sa'yo'y walang hanggan. Ikaw ang siyang dalangin ko sa Diyos kailanpaman. Kuminang ng iyong bituin at sumikat ng araw. Ang kalayaan mo'y sinisigaw. Ang bukas ay tanging sa'yo nakalaan. Kayo manggi ang kulay mo, dugo't pawis inalay mo, di ka na maapi. Ngayon, kailanman, pag-ko sa'yo'y walang hanggan. Dakilang bayan, kapayapaan, iyong huli ng nakamtan. Tulad ng araw, bago inagaw, kayamanan mo ang iyong kalayaan. Ng pahiran ko, luha ng puso ko ay natayo. Muli ang karangalan ko. Opo, ang pag-ibig ko sa'yo'y walang hanggan. Ikaw ang siyang dalangin ko sa Diyos kailanpaman. Kuminang ng iyong bituin at sumikat ng araw. Ang kalayaan mo'y sinisigaw. Ang bukas ay tanging sa'yo nakalaan. Kayo manggi ang kulay mo, awis sinalay mo, di ka na maapi. Ngayon o kailanman, pag-ibig ko sa'yo'y walang hanggan. Kahit na ano kaliit ang tinig ko, buong lakas akong magtatanggol sa'yo. Nakalaan, kayo manggi ang kulay mo. Ang buhay ko'y alak sa'yo, di ka nga maapi. Ngayon o kailanman, pag-ibig ko sa'yo'y walang hanggan. Pag-ibig ko sa'yo'y walang hanggan.
May I call in the regional president. At this point, may I call on the regional president of the Veterans Federation of the Philippines, Jose T. Aklat, and representing the Sons and Daughters Association, Incorporated, Brigadier General Joel Joseph Cabides, and Daruni Faye Salazar Marcial, a granddaughter of a veteran, to bring in the torch of peace for posterity.
In my capacity as a regional president of Veterans Federation for Region 8, I turn over this piece of torch to the son and granddaughter of the ISDAI. Son and granddaughter. And I do hope that with a strong feeling, you will carry on your patriotic courage of your ancestor against the invader of our beloved Philippines. In time of peace, we must observe, preserve, and uphold the principle of cultural value. And there is a saying that men are not lived with bread alone. Thank you.
Upon the graves of our fallen heroes, we freedom fighters of World War II do solemnly and sincerely pledge that we shall never forget your sacrifices, soaked in blood, sweat, and tears, that we shall the memory of the countless men and women World War II veterans or not, who gave up their early youth our beloved
Yes, we accept your challenge. Yes, we shall follow your sterling example of heroism. Yes, we shall all work for eternal peace.
Together, you shall now light the urn to symbolize the eternal flame of peace. May I call Veteran Jose Hakla and Brigadier General Joel Joseph Cabides, retired, to jointly offer the wreath for and in behalf of the member veterans of the Federation. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise to honor the memory of those who died in this war, friends and foe alike, as a symbol of our gratitude for all their sacrifices, that peace may reign in our land. Thank you. You may now take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now listen to the messages of solidarity from our guests joining us today. First, may I call on Brigadier General Joseph Sevilla, Board of Trustee, Veterans of World War II, to give his solidarity message on video.
His Excellency, President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, members of the Diplomatic Corps, national and local officials, His Excellency, President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, members of the Diplomatic Corps, national and local officials, led by Leyte Governor Leopoldo Dominico Petilla, all veterans and their descendants, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In our national history, His Excellency, President
From
of
the
Republic
National
of the
President
Philippines,
of the Veterans
Rodrigo
Federation
Roa
of the
Duterte,
Philippines,
members of the Diplomatic Corps, national and local officials, led by Leyte Governor Leopoldo Dominico Petilla, all veterans and their descendants, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In our national history, all freedom-loving Filipinos are called to remember and commemorate the 77th anniversary of Leyte Gulf landings of General Douglas MacArthur and Allied forces on October 20, 1944 in Palo, Leyte. And their victories with the Filipino freedom fighters in the Second World War. We must all pay homage to the bravery and supreme sacrifices of our war heroes in defending the honor, dignity, and sovereignty of our beloved country and people from foreign invasions. After gaining independence from the United States of America, the war is not yet over against poverty, injustice, ignorance, and disease. The fight for the recognitions, rights, and benefits due to our veterans and their descendants are not yet fully attended. We must all unite and help our government in rebuilding the political, economic, cultural, moral, spiritual, and ethical values of our people, and in securing the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of our national territory. Mabuhay tayong lahat! Mabuhay ang Pilipinas! Maraming salamat po. Economic, cultural,
Greetings to everyone. On the occasion of the 77th anniversary of the Leyte Gulf landings, October 20, 1944, may I invite you to recall with me the circumstances surrounding this historic event. By July 1944, after retaking the Marianas Islands, including Guam, and coming out victorious in the Battle of the Philippine Sea, the Allied powers were now poised for the invasion of the Japanese homeland to end the war. But as they mulled over what strategy to adopt, there arose a couple of schools of thought. The one was the need to take Formosa or Taiwan before invading Japan proper, and the other, the reconquest of the Philippines first. Admiral Ernest King, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Fleet, headed the former, while the latter, school.
Thank you, VSU Coral. To give his anniversary message, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Honorable Leopoldo Dominico L. Pitilla, Governor, Province of Leyte.
Maupay nga agahaaton nga tanan. Pleasant good morning. to our co-pastor of Our Lady of Fatima Parish, Monsignor Ramon Aguilos, His Excellency Rodrigo Roa Duterte, President, Republic of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Andres Centino, 64th Commanding General of the Philippine Army, also our guest of honor today, His Excellency Stephen James Robinson, Ambassador of the Embassy of Australia to the Philippines, His Excellency Koshikawa Kazuhiko, Ambassador of the Embassy of Japan to the Philippines, His Excellency Peter MacArthur, Ambassador of the Embassy of Canada to the Philippines, His Excellency Peter Kell, Ambassador of the Embassy of New Zealand to the Philippines, Her Excellency Laure Bufield, Ambassador of the Embassy of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Irelands to the Philippines, Ms. Heather Varyava, charged the affair of the Embassy of the United States of America, Undersecretary Ernesto Carolina, Philippine Veterans Affairs Officer Administrator, Retired Colonel Cesar P. Pobre, National President of the Veterans Federation of the Philippines, Retired Armed Forces of the Philippines Brigadier General Joseph Sevilla, Board Trustee of the Veterans of World War II, Brigadier General Joel Joseph Cabides, retired, Regional President of Sons and Daughters of Region 8, Veteran Jose Hakla, Regional President of the Veterans Federation of the Philippines, Ms. Duran Faye Salazar Marshal, SDI, granddaughter of veteran Mariano Cañalita Pascon, the Honorable Carlo P. Loreto, Vice Governor of the Province of Leyte, Honorable Frances Ann Pitilla, Mayor of Palo, and Vice Mayor Ronan Christian Reposar of Palo, our former Governor and former Secretary Jericho Pitilla, former Mayor Remedios Matinil Pitilla, our co-chair of this commemoration activities, our heroes, the veterans, congressmen, congresswomen, and mayors present, to the Department of Tourism family, headed by Director Karen Chopez, the regional and provincial directors from the different national government agencies, department heads of the provincial government of Leyte, Police Brigadier General Romel Bernardo Cabagnot of the Philippine PNP Region 8 Regional Director, Major General Robert Daus, Commander Visayas Command of the Philippine Army, men in uniform, distinguished guests and visitors, maubay nga aga, dear veterans and your families and friends, our friends and allies in foreign countries, the Palon-ons led by Mayor Ann Pitilla, and my fellow Liteños, salamat han iyo padayon na pagkaurusa para han Leyte Landing Anniversary Commemoration. Haluyo han pandemya. In the 77 years since the Leyte landings took place, we take joy in the knowledge that the wounds of war have healed. While many of us cannot be physically present, we still come together in solemn commemoration with our friends and allies from the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and Japan. We are able to listen to the stories of veterans and their legacy of heroism and gallantry, while also renewing our commitment to remember them for generations to come. We also renew our commitment towards ensuring that their sacrifices in war will not be in vain and that war will not destroy lives anymore. Dear veterans, 3 generations have passed since World War II. With each generation, our national and local governments have endeavored to make your wartime heroism very meaningful. You have served and continue to serve as our inspiration in upholding the freedom of our people and the democracy of our institutions. Your values in wartime and peacetime guide us towards the right path, even as though through the years we may have stumbled in defending our national freedom. Every year from October 18 to the 20th, we honor the civilians, guerrillas, and soldiers whose valor was second to none, whose limitations in war were overcome by grit with no expectations of glory. Your glory came later, and it's the glory that we highlight in every Leyte Golf Landings commemoration. Many of your comrades have passed into the great beyond, but rest assured that their names will always be honored in all their glory. This is the second year when our tribute to the heroes of World War II, both alive and fallen, have been conducted mostly online. But whether physical or virtual, every commemoration gives us the opportunity to reflect on your heroism and its application in our daily lives today. In the current pandemic, we have many heroes in the front lines whose heroism inspires us much more as your heroism still does today. Truly, the battle has moved its front lines from guns and cannons to masks and needles. We may live in relative peace thanks to all of you, our dear veterans. But there remain current challenges that we must face head-on. Economic inequality and social injustice are a few of our current issues that you have also battled during your time. But we press on despite hardships, for indeed, we must prove ourselves worthy of the lives lost, the bloodshed and the sacrifices made by our veterans. You, our dearest veterans, deserve nothing less than a peace won completely by your descendants. On a last note, my dear friends, fellow Liteños and fellow Filipinos, the biggest lesson that we can learn from our veterans was the love of their country. And it has enabled all the Filipinos to unite with the friends and the allied forces, and hence became strong and won the battle in World War II, beginning here at the Leyte Landings. So my dear friends, Filipinos, it is in our unity, in loving our country, in making sacrifice, especially now that we have the pandemic. Same heroism that our veterans have showed 77 years ago. Only then we can prevail. Only then we can end the pandemic. Only then we can be strong in fighting against poverty and injustice. And only then we become a strong country. So with that, everybody, damo nga salamat ug hinaot unta tagan pa kamo hinmaupay ug halaba na kinabuhi anaton mga veterans. Thank you very much. More power.
Doon na lang, Dan.
Hello. Hello. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, let us listen to the solidarity messages from our veterans and from our diplomatic corps on video.
His Excellency, President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, members of the diplomatic corps, national and local officials led by Leyte Governor Leopoldo Dominico Petilla, all veterans and their descendants, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In our national history, all freedom-loving Filipinos are called to remember and commemorate the 77th anniversary of Leyte Golf landings of General Douglas MacArthur and Allied forces on October 20, 1944 in Palo, Leyte. And their victories with the Filipino freedom fighters in the Second World War. We must all pay homage to the bravery and supreme sacrifices of our war heroes in defending the honor, dignity, and sovereignty of our beloved country and people from foreign invasions. After gaining independence from the United States of America, the war is not yet over against poverty, injustice, ignorance, and disease. The fight for the recognitions, rights, and benefits due to our veterans and their descendants are not yet fully attended. We must all unite and help our government in rebuilding the political, economic, cultural, moral, spiritual, and ethical values of our people, and in securing the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of our national territory. Mabuhay tayong lahat! Mabuhay ang Pilipinas! Maraming salamat po.
Greetings to everyone. On the occasion of the 77th anniversary of the Leyte Golf landings on October 20, 1944, may I invite you to recall with me the circumstances surrounding this historic event. By July 1944, after retaking the Marianas Islands, including Guam, and coming out victorious in the Battle of the Philippine Sea, the Allied powers were now poised for the invasion of the Japanese homeland to end the war. But as they mulled over what strategy to adopt, there arose a couple of schools of thought. The one was the need to take Formosa or Taiwan before invading Japan proper, and the other, the reconquest of the Philippines first. Admiral Ernest King, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Fleet, headed the former, while the latter, school of thought, was led by General Douglas MacArthur, the commander of the United States Southwest Pacific Area Command. Both contenders had very cogent and strong arguments. But at the end of the day, at a conference at Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt decided that the reconquest of the Philippines had to be the prerequisite for the invasion of Japan. President Roosevelt might have given more weight to General MacArthur's argument that the reoccupation of the entire Philippine archipelago as quickly and as early as possible was a national obligation and a political necessity. To bypass any or all the islands would destroy American honor and prestige throughout the Far East, if not in the rest of the world as well. And so, while the guerrillas all over the country harassed and the Japanese parried, MacArthur's forces landed, or rather headed for Leyte. By why Leyte? The general said Leyte was the anvil against which I hope to hammer the Japanese into submission in the central Philippines, the springboard from which I could proceed to the conquest of Luzon for the final assault against Japan. On October 20, 1944, the United States Sixth Army under Lieutenant General Walter Kruger made landings on Leyte without much opposition. And instead of Japanese soldiers, there were Filipino guerrillas in the beach areas awaiting the Sixth Army's arrival. On the afternoon of that day, General Douglas MacArthur, Commonwealth President Sergio Mena, General Carlos Romulo, and other high-ranking American officers landed on Red Beach, which was just north of the town of Palo. And MacArthur, dressed in a newly pressed uniform, had expected to step on dry land, but the landing craft beached too early. Hence, the party had to wade the last few meters to shore. On reaching land, and after a brief shower, MacArthur took hold of a microphone. Then he announced his return to the Philippines and rallied the people to rise and strike. 3 days later, on October 23, after Tacloban had already been taken, appropriate ceremonies were held for the re-establishment of the Commonwealth government, and President Mena then issued his first executive orders. Although no strong beach defense in Leyte was provided, General Tomoyoki Yamashita, in command of the Japanese Army in the Philippines, put up a kind of defense in depth. And this he did by fighting with a strong force in the hinterland and using to advantage the ruggedness and thick vegetation of the area. In resorting to this kind of defense, Yamashita was able not only to delay the timetable but tie down as well so many of the Allied forces. This explains why it was not until Christmas Day, or 2 months later since the landings, when all organized resistance in Leyte was finally crushed. Nevertheless, Earlier, on December 15, the island of Mindoro was taken, and on January 9, 1945, the United States Sixth Army made landings on the Lingayen Gulf to conduct military operations for the reconquest of Luzon. General Yamashita had to fight hard in the interior and not in the beach areas, since the latter venue was no longer tenable. By that time, October 1944, as a result of their all-out offensive operations, the Leyte Area Command guerrillas under Colonel Ruperto Camblion not only had been able to inflict heavy losses on the enemy, it had also been able to seize control of the landing beach areas. This the guerrillas were able to do because they had sufficient number, arms, equipment, and supplies. They were well led and had been organized into a no-nonsense armed unit that was as solid as it had the unity of command. They were dedicated to duty. They had been used to fighting as a team, as one in all and all in one. Also, their province mates, the civilians, were not only supportive and cooperative, helpful and caring, they were readily given to working hard and long with the guerrillas and sacrificing in tandem. This sense of solidarity, amply demonstrated by the guerrillas and civilians in Leyte during the war, provides a lesson to be learned, particularly in these uncertain and troubled times. The Filipinos and the other nations of the world, which have called themselves collectively as United Nations, should endeavor to live up to their name and put their acts together to preserve and enhance world security and world peace. Thank you.
Governor Leopoldo Dominico Petilla, and our fellow Lingkod Bayan of Leyte, Excellencies of the Foreign Diplomatic Corps, the proud citizens of this vibrant province of Leyte, our beloved Leyteño veterans, maupay nga aga haaton nga tanan. Allow me to extend my felicitations to all the Leyteños on this very historical day as we celebrate the 77th anniversary of the Leyte Gulf landings. At around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, on this very same day, 77 years ago, General Douglas MacArthur, together with then President Sergio Osmeña and General Carlos P. Romulo, landed on the shores of Red Beach, Palo Leyte, fulfilling General MacArthur's one-liner promise to the Filipinos 2 years prior to the landings: I shall return. And for so many years thereafter, the celebration of the Leyte Gulf landings has been centered on this narrative. Today, let us shift the spotlight of attention to the heroes who were instrumental not only in the resistance against the Japanese rule, but also in the protection and defense of the civilians living in the island our valiant Leyteño guerrillas. Contrary to the widely claimed surprise landing of the Allied forces in Leyte, the Japanese military appeared to have correctly predicted the possible landing as early April 1944, leading to the kickoff of a feverish Japanese military preparation in northern Leyte and Biliran Island. In the thick of their preparation, the Japanese military went to the extent of executing every Filipino male civilian they found suspicious during their intense anti-guerrilla patrols as an attempt to break the backbone of the guerrilla movement. Despite all of this, the guerrilla movements under the command of Colonel Ruperto Cangleon remained very active. They cleared the landing area of mines, neutralized Japanese opposition, and gathered vital intelligence on the enemy deployments. Among their many successful combat feats were under the command of a local hero, Major Alejandro Balderian. The Leyteño guerrillas ambushed and shot at a car carrying the commander of the 16th Infantry Division of the Japanese Imperial Army, General Shiro Makino. Even before the liberation period, the Filipinos have provided crucial assistance to the Allied forces by staging various guerrilla operations against the Japanese, preparing the Leyte Gulf for their landing. The Battle of Leyte Gulf raged on until December 1944. And with the full support of the 4,000 Filipino guerrillas under the command of Colonel Cangleon, who were already on site then, the Leyte landing operations were executed in almost perfect timing and coordination. Said daring role and selfless sacrifices of our local guerrillas have been played down in the past. It is only appropriate, therefore, that we highlight their bravery and heroism on this historical day. Let us celebrate the victory achieved 77 years ago by giving due credit and honor to our very own kababayan heroes by recognizing their contribution to the gift of liberty and freedom that we enjoy today. But more than just being celebrated, their contribution must also be retold over and over again and cascaded down to the younger generation so that the lessons that may be derived from their stories will be inculcated in the minds of the children of today and the future breed of Filipino heroes. Thus allow me to congratulate and express my deepest gratitude to the local government of Leyte for making this commemoration possible in the midst of the health crisis we are confronting now. Thank you for putting us together in this auspicious occasion to propagate and memorialize the heroic deeds of all those who made the famous Leyte landings an iconic victory in the history of our country. As I close, allow me to offer a snappy salute to our Leyteño heroes. Rest assured that your sacrifices shall not be in vain. Mabuhay ang mga veterano, mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay tayong lahat.
Mabuhay. I'm Stephen Robinson, the Australian Ambassador to the Philippines. You may recall that last year I spoke of the importance of honouring those who fought in the liberation of the Philippines, despite the challenges of doing so remotely based on the COVID-19 pandemic. We do so again as the pandemic continues. This year is particularly poignant as it marks the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Australia and the Philippines. Our shared values of mateship and bayanihan were clearly evident at the Leyte landings. Some 4,000 Australians fought during the campaign to liberate the Philippines, and 92 of them paid the supreme sacrifice. Australia's participation in the Leyte campaign was significant and included our two largest naval ships at the time, HMAS Shropshire and HMAS Australia. These connections continue. We have just had 3 ships from the Royal Australian Navy, HMAS Canberra, HMAS Anzac and HMAS Sirius, visit the Philippines as part of Indo-Pacific Endeavour 2021. While we are somewhat constrained by the pandemic, Australia's defence cooperation with the Philippines remains strong, and valuable lessons continue to be exchanged between our militaries. The pandemic has again prevented us from gathering at Leyte for this 77th anniversary of the landings, but that does not diminish the solemnity of our remembrance of all those who served and sacrificed for our freedom. Their selfless commitment and valour serve as a timeless example to us all. The best way we can express our thanks to them is to cherish and protect the freedoms we enjoy. In closing, allow me to thank the Office of Veterans Affairs, the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the local government of Leyte for ensuring that Australia's part in the Allied victory here and throughout the Pacific continues to be so respectfully and graciously acknowledged. Salamat at Mabuhay.
Honorable Governor Leopoldo Dominico Petila, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. First of all, I wish to thank Governor Petila for inviting me to give a message on this day, marking 77 years since Leyte Gulf landing. My profound respect go to those who perished during the war in the Philippines, and my sincerest condolences to all those they left behind. That the ambassador of the past enemy country is invited to this ceremony shows we have all become friends. Still, we must not forget the past. When His Majesty the Emperor of Japan visited the Philippines in 2016, he said in his remarks that during this war, fierce battle between Japan and the United States took place on the Philippine soil, resulting in the loss of many Filipino lives and leaving many Filipinos injured. This is something we Japanese must never forget, and we intend to keep this engraved in our heart through our visit. I believe His Majesty's remarks reflect the sincere feeling of many Japanese people that we must always remember what happened here. Since the war ended, Japan and the Philippines have continuously nurtured our friendship. Today we are friends closer than brother. This is due to the Filipino people's forgiving heart and tremendous effort and dedication of our two nation leaders. For this, I am deeply grateful to the Filipino peoples and all those who have helped nurture our bilateral relations. Japan and the United States have also worked hard to overcome the hatred caused by war. Today, the Japan-US alliance is stronger than ever. Together with other partners, our alliance has contributed to stability, and prosperity in the regions and the world. Japan intends to continue close cooperation with all partners in our shared dream of peaceful and prosperous world. Before closing, I would also like to express my commitment to strengthen cooperation with the province of Leyte in such areas as healthcare, sanitation, and livelihood. I hope to be able to visit Leyte soon and discuss full cooperation with Governor Petila and other stakeholders. Lastly, I sincerely thank everyone behind the preparation of this ceremony. Our fight against COVID-19 continues, but I am confident that by working closely together, we will prevail. Maraming salamat po.
Friends, thank you for the invitation to connect with you remotely today. 77 years today, General Douglas MacArthur led his forces ashore, himself wading in the third assault wave in Leyte Gulf to begin the liberation of the Philippines. This followed a 3-day naval battle, the greatest in history. He was accompanied by Sergio Osmeña, acting president of the Philippines, and Carlos Romulo, who would sign the United Nations Charter for the Philippines and later become foreign minister of your country. Distinguished company for the general to bring along with him. He honored his promise to the Filipino people to return and to join forces with the Filipino resistance on the islands, which signaled a turning point in World War II and the liberation of your country and eventual independence, nationhood for the Republic of the Philippines. It is therefore fitting that we honor the memory of those who participated in this important venture, in this battle, to celebrate the victory, but also, importantly, to mourn those who fell and who were injured in those battles, but also in the battles, including the unfortunate death of so many civilians in the Battle of Manila that would follow. It is a privilege and an honor for me as ambassador to represent Canada on this important occasion, this commemoration of an important turning point in the history of the Philippines. I had the privilege earlier this year to visit Corregidor and to view the statue of General MacArthur and see the Canadian flag in the Pacific War Museum in Corregidor, a beautiful island today very much at peace compared to those terrible days in 1945. More than 42,000 Canadians lost their lives in the Second World War. Many were injured, including my father, who was injured in the European theater. They fought bravely alongside American, Filipino, Australian, British, New Zealand, Indian, and other troops. 10,000 Canadians were active fighting in Asia Pacific, including 3,100 members of the Royal Canadian Air Force. They were involved from the start of the war because the main defense of the Hong Kong garrison was by the Canadian Army, and that ended in December 1941 at the very start of the Pacific War. Tens of thousands of Canadian pilots, soldiers, and sailors were being assembled in the summer of 1945 after the liberation of Europe to take part in the expected invasion of Japan, but happily that war ended in August 1945 before that could be enacted. Their sacrifices and the sacrifices of so many hundreds of thousands of others around the world were not in vain. Today in 2021, we have to confront different adversaries: the COVID-19 virus, radical fundamentalism, inequality, natural disasters, including climate change disasters. But the keys to resolving these challenges remains the same: partnership, cooperation, and solidarity. Winning, now as back then in the 1940s, will require patience, persistence, and cooperation. Long-term commitment from governments and organizations, including multilateral organizations around the world, to work together to better fight global challenges. Our partnership has continued throughout this current pandemic, building on past close work together, such as the deployment of a Canadian military to the Philippines in the aftermath of Typhoon Yolanda. Our military were here in a time of peace, not a time of war. But this fact very much underlined that Canada is steadfastly committed to the success of the Philippines, to peace, harmony, and prosperity in your country. And I can assure you that this firm commitment continues in 2021-2022 as we help the Philippines recover back to the new normal to get over this terrible worldwide war against the COVID-19 virus. We are committed to peace, to fighting tyranny, and to freedom as we were 70 years ago. It is not the efforts of any one country alone that will ensure success in dealing with today's challenges. Rather, like in World War II, it is the strength of allies working together that will make the critical difference and be the key success factor in moving ahead. It is through solidarity and cooperation that we can ensure that the freedom won by those who struggled and died for our freedom and rights is honored and will endure. I hope to meet you next year on the beaches of Leyte Gulf. Salamat po, merci beaucoup.
Kia ora tātou. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ngayong araw na ito, muli nating binabalikan ang labanan sa Leyte, ang simula ng kampanya upang palayain ang Pilipinas. Isinasaisip natin ang mga taong nakipaglaban noong ikalawang digmaang pandaigdig. Inaalala ang mga nawalan ng buhay at nakikiramay sa kanilang mga napag-iwanan. Sa ating pag-aalala, nagbibigay pugay tayo sa kanilang pinaglaban, ang kasarinlan na ating tinatamasa ngayon. Sa panahon na iyon, tayo ay muling pinalilibutan ng mga panibagong bayani. Ating mga kaagapay laban sa pandemyang dulot ng COVID-19. Ang mga doktor, nurse at voluntaryo na araw-araw ay humaharap sa pangamba upang tayo ay mapangalagaan. Maraming salamat sa inyong katapangan at lalong-lalo na sa inyong sakripisyo. Nakikiisa ang Aotearoa New Zealand sa Pilipinas at sa buong mundo upang sama-samang matuliksa ang virus at problemang dulot nito. Maraming salamat po. Norera, tenakoto, tenakoto, tenakoto katawa.
Magandang araw sa inyo lahat. My name is Laura Bufis and I'm British Ambassador to the Philippines. Malaking karagalan para sa akin na nandito ako ngayon. I'm honored to be here today to commemorate the anniversary of the Leyte landing, and I'm honored to be doing this as one of my very first acts as British Ambassador to the Philippines. Days like this matter. It is essential that we come together to remember, commemorate, and reflect. Indeed, we must never stop celebrating the bravery and heroism of those who fought so bravely to liberate the Philippines. Victory at the Battle of Leyte Gulf was incredibly hard fought. We are grateful for the sacrifice of the fallen and that of their families, and for their courage and their commitment and valor. All of these were key to secure the freedom and peace that we so cherish. We and future generations owe the fallen a great debt for their fight for freedom and democracy, and we will never take this for granted. As the UK, we feel blessed to have come through the war as victors, but even more so as friends, allies, and veterans. The UK recognizes the great collaboration between the Filipinos and allied forces, especially prominent during this military battle. the collaboration, friendships, and trust between the Filipino guerrillas and their allied brothers made the difference when it counted. As such, Leyte also serves as a timeless reminder of what we can achieve together through solid alliances and shared common values. And we stand through to that today. This spirit of cooperation is still present today, and it is at the heart of the very close relationship we share with the armed forces of the Philippines and with the brave Filipino men and women that continue to defend the values of freedom and liberty every day. And indeed, we share them with other allies and friends represented at this commemorative service. Salamat at mabuhay.
Leyte Governor Leopoldo Domenico Petilla, Palo Mayor Francis Ann Petilla, honored guests, veterans, and citizens of the Philippines. It is an honor to be a part of this 77th anniversary celebration of the Leyte Gulf landing. It seems fitting that this year not only represents the 77th anniversary of the Leyte Gulf landing, but also commemorates the 75th anniversary of the U.S.-Philippine alliance, an alliance born through the shared sacrifice during the Second World War as both nations fought bravely side by side to liberate the Philippines from Japanese occupation. General Douglas MacArthur's campaign for a full-scale liberation of the Philippine Islands came after major victories for American forces at Midway and the Philippine Sea. With the help of the unwavering resolve of the Filipino resistance, led by Ruperto Cangleon, and the American Landing Force, the liberation plan was set in motion on October 20th, 1944. General MacArthur waded through thigh-high surf, flanked by Commonwealth President-in-exile Sergio Osmeña onto Red Beach, Palo, Leyte. It was at this historic moment when General MacArthur uttered those famous words, "I have returned," making good on a promise from 2.5 years before to return to the shores of the Philippines. The battle for Leyte marked the first step in regaining the Philippines for the Allies. And so, 77 years later, despite these challenging COVID times, we are gathered both virtually and in person to celebrate the Leyte Gulf landing. With more than 4 million Filipinos living and working in the United States, many of whom have or are serving in the U.S. military, and nearly 350,000 American citizens residing in the Philippines, the Philippine-U.S. partnership is as strong as ever today, nearly 8 decades later. Our two countries are bound by our common beliefs in the democracy and the rule of law, and the sacrifices shared by both our countries' veterans during World War II. Despite the history of war, now we are all allies and friends, working together towards common goals of peace and prosperity for all. As treaty allies, we will continue to stand together as equal partners and friends for many more decades to come. Thank you for this incredible opportunity. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Mabuhay!
Finally, to introduce our guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the Honorable Carlo P. Loreto, Vice Governor, Province of Leyte.
Lieutenant General Andres Castor Centino, O-9851, Philippine Army, is the 64th Commanding General of the Philippine Army. Lieutenant General Andres Castor Centino took the helm of the Philippine Army as its 64th Commanding General on 14 May 2021. Prior to his current designation, he was the commander of the 4th Infantry Diamond Division, Philippine Army. Under Lieutenant General Centino's leadership, the Diamond Division has been adjudged as the fightingest division and best Army unit for calendar year 2020. Lieutenant General Centino also effectively and efficiently performed in various command and staff positions, such as the commander of the 26th Infantry Ever Onward Battalion, the 4th Infantry Division, Secretary, Army General Staff, Chief of Staff, 4th Infantry Division, Commander, 401st Infantry Unity Brigade, and Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, J3 of the AFP. Lieutenant General Centino commenced his Bachelor of Science degree in 1984 and graduated cum laude as a proud member of Philippine Military Academy, Maringal Class of 1988. To refine his military leadership, intelligence, and warfighting competencies, Lieutenant General Centino has undergone both local and foreign trainings, such as the Basic Airborne Course, Infantry Officer Basic and Advanced Courses, VIP Security Operations Training, Scout Ranger Course, where he graduated at the top of his class, Counterintelligence Operations Course, Intelligence Officer Course, Military Intelligence Collection Course, and Training Development Course. Likewise, he finished his Command and General Staff course at the AFP Command and General Staff College, where he graduated as part of the top 10 of his class. Lieutenant General Centino is a holder of a master's degree in management from the University of the Philippines and a Master of Science degree in National Resource Strategy from the National Defense University, Washington, D.C., United States. He is also a graduate of the Strategic Business Economics program from the University of Asia and the Pacific. His exemplary leadership and dedication to service were recognized through his awards and decorations, including 4 Distinguished Service Stars, a Golden Cross Medal, Silver Cross Medal, and Bronze Cross Medal, CSAF Commendation Medal and Ribbon, Long Service Medal, several merit medals, both for combat and administration, and several certificates of commendation and appreciation from the military and civilian sector. Lieutenant General Centino was born on 4 February 1967 in Bethany, Tacloban City. He is happily married to the former Miss Sheila Sukalit and blessed with a daughter, Allison, Dayan, and 3 sons, Andoni Rex, Rafael Andrew, and Dion Adrian. 2 friends from Isabel, from Leyte, he is known as Andrew. 2 friends from UP, he is known as Andres. 2 friends from Manila, he is called Andy. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, Your Honors, I am honored to introduce Lieutenant General Andres Castor Centino.
Thank you, Vice Governor Carlo, for the introduction. With the permission of the Governor, may I remove my face mask? To the Honorable Governor, Honorable Leopoldo Domingo Petilla of the Province of Leyte, the host mayor of Palo Leyte, Mayor Ann Petilla, ma'am. Monsignor Ramon Aguilos, the co-pastor of Our Lady of Fatima Parish. The officials of the province of Leyte and of the municipality of Palo, the commander of the Visayas Command, Major General Robert Daos, the commander of the 8th Infantry Division, Brigadier General Mamawag, the men and women of the 8th Infantry Stormtroopers Division, members of my party from the headquarters Philippine Army, headed by Brigadier General Lapinid and Brigadier General Catindoy, a proud son of Leyte. May I also greet General Oliveros, also a proud son of Leyte from Albuera. His Excellencies from the Diplomatic Corps, friends here present, and those joining us online. May especially acknowledge my brother from Isabel, Leyte, Ivan Centino and his family, Lorenzo and Lorraine. Ladies and gentlemen, maupay nga aga hayong atanan. Good morning to everyone. Foremost, I would like to thank the province of Leyte, led by the Honorable Governor Leopoldo Dominico Petilia, for giving me the honor to be part of this special occasion and for successfully bringing this all together amidst the prevailing pandemic. My gratitude as well to everyone for the warm welcome and hospitality that we received this morning. Today, we mark the 77th year of a promise fulfilled, a promise that set the wheels of the liberation of the Philippines, a return that set the Filipino spirit further aflame with a desire for freedom. Such promise resonates among us. It epitomizes our expectation of every promise, like that of a soldier to his family, that he must return, a borrower to his creditor, that he must pay his debt, a man to his beloved, that they soon will be reunited, and a government officials to his people, that he must lead for good governance. It exemplifies a virtue, that we must mean what we say. The Leyte landing in the afternoon at around 4 p.m. of October 20, 1944, marked not only the return of General Douglas MacArthur, but also the return of Philippine leadership to take back its rightful place in our young nation at the time, with the return of then President Sergio Osmeña, together with Generals Carlos P. Romulo and Basilio Valdez. Today, we are here to commemorate that day, and thus it is truly a great honor to be a part of this commemoration. I would like to thank this opportune moment to borrow the words of the great General Douglas MacArthur. I have returned, for indeed I have also returned to the very place of my birth, here in Leyte. Sa aking mga kababayan and our distinguished guests from across the globe, today we stand in solidarity as we remember one of the most significant events in history, not only of the Philippines, but also of the world, which occurred here 7 decades and 7 years ago. The Leyte Gulf landings galvanized the emancipation of our country and signaled the end of the Second World War in the Pacific theater. A few days later, after the landings, came the Battle of Leyte Gulf, known as the largest naval battle in history. But more than that, these events stood as proof of how big the extent of the fight was in every heart of the Filipinos and allies fighting side by side for freedom. Indeed, today, we also reflect on the time when our forebears, together with our allies, risked everything to defeat a formidable adversary. Today serves as a tribute to the heroes of World War II for the legacy of heroism and gallantry. And we can never thank enough our veterans for their selfless services and sacrifices. The only way we can pay back, especially for us in the Philippine Army and the Armed Forces of the Philippines as a whole, is to live our lives with the same spirit of patriotism and love for our country, as our veterans did. Today's commemoration is more significant than in previous years. We live in a world where conflict is on the rise, where there are wars, and it is necessary to remind us of all the lessons of the Second World War, which we must absolutely make sure to do our best that this kind of event will never happen again, that the next generations will never have to fight a war that pits man against man because of greed and hunger for power. More so, remembering deepens our alliances tie. reminding us that by working together as unified allies, we can successfully overcome any security challenge. We then thank our allied countries and even those who fought on the other side, which 77 years after still remain and have become the Philippines' reliable partners for peace and stability. We are grateful to the peoples and governments of the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, who continue to show their compassion to our country. For the past decades, you have been helping us soldiers through many natural and man-made disasters, including typhoons, earthquakes, terrorism, and even the COVID-19 pandemic. What is truly interesting to note is that the American and Japanese ships that took part during the Battle of Leyte Gulf in 1944 bore similar names to those that responded during the relief operations after Super Typhoon Yolanda in 2013. The Japanese ship sent in both events were similarly named Ise, while the ones sent by the United States were named USS Washington and USS Denver. Our economic relations, people-to-people exchanges, military engagements, and peace and security cooperation, among others, enable us to better the lives of Filipinos. As we continue to live in modern times, let us continue to strengthen the healing and reconciliation that began after the war. Let us also live and dedicate our lives to peace based on our shared values of liberty and equality. So as we enjoy the fruits of freedom and democracy, we will be eternally grateful to our World War II veterans, and we are grateful that some of them are still with us today. May their bravery and heroism inspire us to overcome the current challenges we face, particularly in the fight against a pandemic that has affected nations across the globe. We also honor the 5,000 American dead, the 14,000 wounded, 50,000 out of the 65,000 Japanese dead, and the undetermined but numerous Filipino casualties during the Battle of Leyte. With this, I implore everyone not to take for granted the freedom that we currently enjoy, for there are also more than 1,000 reasons to be grateful for. It is our moral duty to preserve what our heroes have fought for and to remember our debts of gratitude to those who perished fighting to defend our freedom and advance our values. Just as we commemorate this historic event, let us also strengthen our resolve to move forward into a future united by a common desire to create a much better and safer world for generations to come. Again, my profound gratitude and my salute to all the heroes of World War II, especially here in the Battle of Leyte, both uniformed and civilian. Our nation and the rest of the world are forever grateful. Madamo nga salamat. Thank you very much. Happy 77th Leyte Gulf Landings anniversary to all. May the spirit of heroism and gallantry of our heroes be forever in our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Andres C. Centino. Before we proceed, may I request Governor Mick Petilla to award the plaque of appreciation to our guest of honor. Please allow me to read the inscription on the plaque. The province of Leyte presents this certificate of recognition to Lieutenant General Andres C. Centino, Commanding General, Philippine Army, as guest of honor on the occasion of the 77th commemoration of the Leyte Gulf Landings, held at the MacArthur Landing Memorial National Park, Red Beach, Palu, Leyte, given this 20th day of October 2021 in Palu, Leyte. Signed, Honorable Leopoldo Dominico L. Petilla, Governor, Province of Leyte, and Chairperson, Executive Committee, 77th anniversary of the Leyte Gulf Landings. Let us give them a big round of applause. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, let us all listen to the commemorative message of His Excellency Rodrigo Roa Duterte, President, Republic of the Philippines.
It is with great pride that I join you in celebrating the 77th anniversary of the Leyte Gulf landing. This momentous event in our nation's history is not a turning point in the World War II, but also an affirmation of our strong determination to achieve independence and freedom. As we honor our forefathers, let us not forget about the rare breed of heroism our nation has gloriously witnessed decades ago. May we also take this opportunity to honor our modern-day heroes, our doctors, nurses, and essential frontliners who made countless sacrifices for the Filipino people during the pandemic. Their tremendous courage, selflessness, and resilience are truly worth emulating. With our concerted efforts, we will soon claim victory in the battle against the unseen adversary. I wish everyone good health and a meaningful event.
The world has known, the province we love and call our own. We Litanians often died for you. Freedom since then has seen us through. The beauty that we see today ever shines in every way. Rich in love, resources and fame, forever you will stay the same. The world to know, let our spirit glow. The pure, the place to be, the province of Leyte. To know that we love you so, a place of strong and free, the province of Leyte. You will always be part of us, the province east of the Visayas. For the glory that only do, the whole nation is proud of you. We make the world to know, let our spirit glow, that you're the place to be, the province of Leyte. We make the world to know that we love you so, strong and
Thank you, everyone. Mabuhay ang probinsya ng Leyte. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Keep safe, everyone, and God bless us all.
Par.
Dude, nagawa mo na ba yung research para sa assignment?
Oo, sa YouTube.
The kinematics of radiation.
According to quantum physics,
The gamma rays from them could sterilize.
tutok na tutok ka dyan ah. Baka lumuha yung mga mata mo.
Ano ba yan? Baka bumalok-baloktot mo, tumukha ka ganyan!
Hoy! Baka magbuhol-buhol na yung daliri mo, kaka-cellphone. Kakain na!
Unli alert! Unli alert! Introducing Smart's Most Unli! Sa sobrang unli ng Unli Giga Video, watch all you want on video apps. Sa sobrang unli ng Unli Giga Stories, post all you can on social media apps. Kakayanin mo ba?
Saranghe.
Ma, buong araw ko na po nanonood dyan ah. Baka kainin ka na ng safa. Unli alert! Unli alert! Smart Unli Giga Video and Smart Unli Giga Stories! Unli...
What do you do when what you desire is beyond reach?
You use power that breaks barriers. Speed at the palm of your hands. The Giga Life.
Now in 5G.
Do you believe this is possible?
I do.
How do you know?
Simply
Smart.
Acro. What do you do when what you desire is beyond reach?
You use power that breaks barriers. Speed at the palm of your hands. The Giga Life.
Now in 5G.
Do you believe this is possible?
I do.
How do you know?
Simply
Smart.
Acro.
Dude, nagawa mo na ba yung research para sa assignment?
Oo, sa YouTube.
The kinematics of radiation.
According to quantum physics,
The gamma rays from them could sterilize.
tutok na tutok ka dyan ah. Baka lumuha yung mga mata mo.
Ano ba yan? Baka bumalok-baloktot mo, tumukha ka ganyan!
Hoy! Baka magbuhol-buhol na yung daliri mo, kaka-cellphone. Kakain na!
Unli alert! Unli alert! Introducing Smart's Most Unli! Sa sobrang unli ng Unli Giga Video, watch all you want on video apps. Sa sobrang unli ng Unli Giga Stories, post all you can on social media apps. Kakayanin mo ba?
Saranghe.
Ma, buong araw ko na po nanonood dyan ah. Baka kainin ka na ng safa. Unli alert! Unli alert! Smart Unli Giga Video and Smart Unli Giga Stories! Unli responsibly!
What do you do when what you desire is beyond reach?
You use power that breaks barriers.
palm of your hands. The Giga Life.
Now in 5G.
Do you believe this is possible?
I do.
How do you know?
Simple, smart, ako. What do you do when what you desire is beyond reach?
You use power that breaks barriers. Speed at the palm of your hands. The Giga Life.
Now in 5G.
Do you believe this is possible?
I do.
How do you know?
Simple, smart, ako.
Dude, nagawa mo na ba yung research para sa assignment?
Oo, sa YouTube.
The kinematics of radiation.
According to quantum physics,
The gamma rays from them could sterilize.
tutok na tutok ka dyan ah. Baka lumuha yung mga mata mo.
Ano ba yan? Baka bumalok-baloktot mo tumukha ka ganyan.
Hoy! Baka magbuhol-buhol na yung daliri mo. Kaka-cellphone. Kakain na.
Unli alert! Unli alert! Introducing Smart's Most Unli! Sa sobrang unli ng Unli Giga Video, watch all you want on video apps! Sa sobrang unli ng Unli Giga Stories,